All right, so good morning, everyone. Today I'm here with Josh Chatee, and again, we're talking about football. We're talking about players who potentially would be eligible for Trinidad and Tobago, and definitely wanted to speak to Josh because he has a story which I'm thinking that several other players on the outside may have also. And I just want to say thanks to Kerwin for setting up this interview. He actually reached out and he made the connection, so he allowed us to have this interview. So without further ado, Josh, could you tell the Trinidad and Tobago public who you are and how you are eligible to play for Trinidad and Tobago?
Hello, I'm Josh Chatee, and I'm eligible to play for Trinidad and Tobago through my granddad, Lincoln Chatee, who's from Tuna Puna in Trinidad.
Okay. And I know we had some conversation a little bit before. Trinidad is in the process of updating their grandparent law. Hopefully, that's what the FA has mentioned to us, and we know that there is it's been a process. I've been hearing about it for quite a few years. I know you gave me a bit of a story before that they reached out to you. So could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it was I signed with a team in Sweden called IFK Luleå. This was about 4 years ago, so I was 23, just turned 23 at the time, and my agent literally rung me about 6 in the morning and was like, "Josh, do you want to represent Trinidad?" And I was like, "I'd love to." And then he was like, "We need to get all your papers over to the Trinidad FA and all this." So in that was 4 years ago. I sent all my papers off, my granddad's papers and everything, and then that kind of started the process to try and represent Trinidad. And then obviously, if you're going to represent Trinidad in an actual game, you need to have your passport. So then it's been the case of trying to get my passport and then making sure. Obviously, my granddad's passed away, so then it's trying to get all of his details and actually showing he's actually from Trinidad has
Right,
been quite difficult. Even though it's like we have his birth certificate, everything. So
right.
that's kind of the process we're going through.
Okay. So this process started 4 years ago, you said.
Yeah,
Wow. All right. Cool. So currently you play in Sweden.
yeah, yeah.
Tell us a little bit of where you play and the team that you're with and that kind of thing.
So I play in the midfield. So I'm
Okay.
like a number eight, number 10.
Right.
A couple of years before that, I would have been an out and out winger, but I've kind of developed my game into being more of a midfielder. I like to be on the ball quite a lot. I'm quite technical, so I almost like to dictate the game, but try and get myself into the box. I have um, I have a good right foot, so I'm quite good on set pieces, free kicks, things like this, corners. So and that obviously helps me being in the middle of the park to either spray the ball about, or I always have found that I'm good at finding the final pass.
Right. Right.
And whether or not I'm high up, the last couple of years I've started to move further down the pitch actually, to because I'm so comfortable with the ball.
Yeah.
So moving as a 6, an 8, and a 10, it's kind of been those three positions in the last year or so that I've been playing most of my game.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Um, so other than Trinidad and Tobago, who are you eligible to play for?
Well, if it's the grandparent law, then I would technically be eligible to play for Singapore as well. My mum's dad is was from Singapore,
Okay.
so
Okay.
that's we're quite also island. So my granddad Lincoln, so
Hmm.
who is from Trinidad, his wife was from Ireland, so technically I could play for. So it's a crazy mix.
Right.
So Ireland, Singapore, Trinidad, and England. So yeah, I have a big mix, which is also really fun.
Right. Um, what is your favorite memory so far in playing football? Seeing that you've been in Europe for quite a while, what is your biggest memory or favorite memory so far?
I think so. When it was okay, so I won a midfielder of the season in Sweden back in
Nice.
2020, and that was voted on by journalists and also the other team's coaches.
Hmm.
So they vote for the players in the league, and then it comes down to a top three in each position, and then the top three then goes to the number one. So then that was obviously quite a big thing to win,
Yeah.
and
Right. Yeah.
that was good. But I would have probably said because of then COVID happened,
Hmm.
it made it quite hard then to obviously everything was kind of shutting down, wasn't it?
Hmm.
So I
Yeah.
would have then said my favourite memory would have been signing a contract for Luleå in Sweden because my agent, who I have at the time, was like, oh, I still have now, sorry, was saying it's impossible. There's no one's traveling. No one's
Right.
gonna. You're not going to be able to get a contract out here. There was no football going on in the UK,
Right. Right.
and I just won the midfield of the season, and then I was thinking, oh, maybe nothing's really aligning for me. And
Yeah.
then I had a coach call me and a couple of teams call me, and I managed to go out on so you could travel if you had a trial with a team
Okay. Yeah.
from a specific level in Sweden.
Yeah.
So I got to go to one of those, and then I'd played a game. The game didn't go so well for me or the team,
Yeah.
and then they left me in Stockholm. As in, but the coach was still adamant that he really wanted me. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking, oh, I've only been here for a week. I've trained twice. I've played a game. It's not gone so great. Nothing really is going to happen. I'm going to have to fly home, and all the training that I've done during COVID isn't going to have paid off.
Yeah.
And then he rung me. The coach rung me and was like, "Get on the next flight. So from Stockholm to Luleå,
Yeah.
and you're going to play a game with us tomorrow." And he said to me, "If you don't play well, we're not going to sign you."
Right.
And I played really well. I got an assist,
Yeah.
and I got offered the contract. I actually got offered two contracts, one from a different team who was at the game as
Okay.
well. But I got offered the contract straight after the game from the coach.
Okay.
So that was probably maybe the best moment because I rung my mum and dad straight away because
Right.
they got to see the game, they got to stream the game, and they were like, "You played really well. What have they said?" And I said, "They're gonna sign me." And then obviously my mum and dad, they were like just so happy, and it was like such a nice feeling for me
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like, okay, in the hard work that I've done training without a team, I've found a team to get on the
Yeah.
right path again.
Nice. Nice. So I guess there's a story in itself of just being persistent, sticking to the fundamentals, and in the right moment, something would happen because there's a second chance you basically got there with
Yeah,
that
one
team.
hundred percent. I'm a big believer in when you continue to do the right things, whether or not you get injured. Right now, I'm going through a big injury. I tore my ACL towards the
Okay.
end, so I'm 6.5 months post surgery.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I'm due to be back in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So
Hmm.
I'm doing quite well with my rehab. But I'm a big believer in if you consistently do the right things,
Hmm.
opportunities they come to you. You don't
Okay.
have to search for them. One will arise. So I'm a big believer in that.
Okay. Okay. And that's a good story to pass on. Um, I would just want to go back into your earlier days of playing football because that may inspire someone also. How did you really get into football? And I guess probably like the academies, what would you have done to get where you are now?
So when I was younger, I've been lucky enough where my mum and dad really pushed me to do any type of training in any type of sport,
Right.
and always literally grew up with like a foot by my a ball by my foot almost all the time. That was I think my nana who as in she literally my nana Barb. She literally bought me a football when I was probably 2 days old. So my whole family is a big Arsenal fan. So I was just playing. Really, I'm one of five.
Right.
I've got two brothers and two sisters, and my older brother Luke. He would always take me out and play in the garden, and um, then I would just get used to maybe playing with him because he was a lot bigger than me, and then just training and playing with teams. I ended up playing for a team called Overton, which is just like Sunday, Saturday league when I was younger, but
Right.
I
Right.
played a year above. So I only actually played my own age until when I was like 13, 14.
Okay. Okay.
So I was always playing a year above, and it's not like I'm a big person anyway. I was always been a small kid, so I think doing that helped me a lot. And then my dad and my mum and dad always pushed me to do athletics, and we were just at a game. I'd got picked for the district team, and we it was really weird. I'd played really well in the game, and I was doing athletics quite a lot at this time. I
Hmm.
think I was eighth fastest in the UK for 200 meters at the time.
Okay.
So
Nice.
that was my big strength when I was younger, was my speed.
Yeah.
Rather than when you go to an academy, everyone's so technical, and I wasn't at an academy at this stage. And
Okay.
then my mum and dad and my older brother was there. My little brother was at the game. We get into the car on the way back. We just lost in the semi final of this cup, and I wasn't very happy. And I'd played well, but I wasn't obviously happy with the result. Sit in the
Yeah.
car, everyone's all silent. My older brother's like nudging me and like smiling. And then there was about 5 or 6 scouts from different teams in England, all
Oh.
wanting to bring me in on a trial. That had spoke to my mum. They didn't even know it was my mum. They were just asking about the players who were
Yeah.
playing,
Hmm.
and they were like, "We really like who's number 11? Which one's?" And then my mum was like, "That's my son."
Hmm.
And I was training with a Reading development team at the time,
Okay.
so
Okay.
which isn't like it's like 2 steps below an academy. So you have a development squad, then you have a center of excellence, and then you have the academy.
Okay.
Um, I'm not sure if that's still that's how it was back in the day. I'm not sure now, but then I was just doing well. I was doing well in that league. They had many points, so the other team's coach would rank the top 3 players of the team each
Hmm.
week, and I had accumulated the most points in that league, but
Yeah.
nothing. You know, you're 2 levels below the academy. There was nothing that you would think anything so much of it.
Right.
And one of the scouts that was there was actually a Reading scout. And he
Oh.
told the other scouts that I was signed with Reading, and my mum was obviously like, "No, he's not signed." Um, so then I ended up getting a trial with Reading. And to be honest, in the first session, I literally trained with Reading the next day with the academy boys the next day.
Oh. Okay. Nice. Nice.
So everything went so fast, and to be honest, I was like a deer in headlights. I was I was so nervous. I
Yeah.
remember it was under 15s, under 16s together, and I was an
Yeah.
under 15, and I trained with Bournemouth Academy. They didn't have an academy; they just had the Centre of Excellence, but their
Right.
group the year before, and that hadn't gone so well. And you know, football everywhere is very cutthroat. The players, no one really wants to be your friend. They want to put the ball, pepper it into you. And
Yeah.
I remember the coach. He said to me, the under 16 coach Martin Cool. He said, "You know, you've been brought in for a reason. You've
Right.
got to show us that reason." And that
Yeah.
was after the first session. He goes, "Today you were terrible, but you've got to show us the reason why we've let you come in on a 6 week trial."
Right.
And then the next training I was good. And the main thing was I showed my speed,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why they brought me in. And then the next thing everything went so fast. The next thing I know, I started every time I would play. I think we played against Bournemouth that weekend, which was
Right.
kind of like a revenge thing for me. They didn't sign me, and then I'm playing
Right.
against them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as a trialist, you have to take your opportunity. I think they brought me on for 30 minutes, and I think I'd been on the pitch for like 5 minutes, and I scored
Nice. Yeah.
at the back post, just like a half sliding volley. And my mum was like so happy, obviously, in the car on the way back. She was so happy. And then I think the
Yeah.
next game we played against MK Dons the week later. I think we won 7-1. And I think I had like, or 10-1, and I think I had like 5 assists. And I really
Nice.
then started to get the respect of the other guys in the academy,
Yeah.
and I then felt comfortable to show my ability. Whereas
Right.
before, it's like you're almost scared to do something. You don't want to, because you're so scared to mess up because everyone's
Yeah.
almost cussing you out. And then when I realized it was like, as long as you just don't think about that and you play your own way,
Yeah.
I think there's many talents who probably go through, like they just fall through because they're too scared to make a mistake.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's why really the top players, they always get to the top because they're not scared. And I think once I realised that they realised that I could be an asset to them,
right.
and oh, he's really fast. Like I can give him a ball down there, and then also learned, okay, well, technical. I wasn't anywhere near their level technically because
Yes,
I'd never been at an academy, and some of them had been there since they were 8.
right, right.
So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to rely on my speed, and my technique is going to have to come. And then they never put so they didn't even put a date on my contract. They just said we'll keep you to the end of the season, but they didn't write on the contract when the contract finished. And
Yeah,
then when it come to the end of the season, we played against Cardiff, and I scored, and we won 2-1. And
right.
then everyone was sat in the middle of the pitch, and they were like, everyone who's here now is going to be with us next season. And then I got like my contract where it was like the date was the end of next season.
Right,
So
right, right.
that was really fun.
Cool, cool, cool. And I think I like the story in that it speaks to there's a different way to get there.
Yeah.
Um, know your strengths because I spoke to a national player recently, and they were saying sometimes when you're debuting with the national team, you may see people playing differently to how you're accustomed seeing them playing in the league. Because same thing, they're so nervous and they don't want to mess up. But I guess once you get over that, and as you showed, when you get over that, you just allow yourself to be free and play the football that they brought you there for because they saw it, so they know that you have it.
I think
Yeah,
that's why so many trialists struggle, is because where most trialists, when they come and where they've been, they're almost like a big fish in a small pond.
yeah,
So then when they come and there's loads of sharks around, they're almost afraid to swim. And you're like, you
yeah.
just have to. I think the older you get, because I've played now for many different teams,
Hmm.
and I'm probably as soon as I get in there, I'm probably the most open person in the changing room from the
Right.
second I walk in, because I
Hmm.
know that my ability will come through. I'm not scared to show my ability, and if
Yes.
some and I'm not scared to get on the ball, and I'll also show. If you've been with a lot of teams, you almost have like a leadership quality where, okay, you pick up so many different things. And
Yeah.
the biggest thing to do is to talk to
Yeah.
young players. When you talk to I remember last season, I spoke to this young player because of they were. What happens is, let's say I make a mistake for my team last season in
Hmm.
training. One of the of course, people will like shout at me, but if I make the mistake, maybe because I'm a more senior player
Hmm.
and a more top player seen in the team, less things will be said. And then a younger player will make the same mistake that I've just done, probably trying to follow exactly what I've done. And then the next thing you know, there's 5 or 6 players are screaming at them. And you
Right.
can
Right.
see
Right.
like their head drops. And I always try and make a thing like, because I remember how it used to feel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I try and make it and just go, don't worry. Like if you're gonna be upset by a couple of people shouting at you, then you might as well stop playing football.
True. True.
Because
Yeah.
because there's going to be so many people. I could play a game. Let's say I was fit and played a game tomorrow. I could have 50 people say I'm awful, but 100 people say I'm amazing, or vice
Right.
versa.
Right.
So
Right. Right. That's good. That's good. That's good advice to pass on to younger players. That's very good. So I just want to kind of take it a little bit personal now. So have you ever been to Trinidad before?
yeah, when I was a lot younger, I actually went with my uncles, my whole family, pretty much.
Right.
Um, and I think we were there for 3 weeks. And
Nice.
the most thing I remember is that all my family over there, my cousins, I couldn't even swim, but I'd lied to them and was like, I can swim, and it was a bad day to be in the sea in terms of for a young kid. I must have been about 5 or 6, maybe even younger, and
Right.
I was out really deep with them, and they like used to that all the time, and they
Right.
were just
Right. Right.
holding me. I didn't even have any armbands on, and I couldn't swim. And my mum was panicking, but my dad was like, "He's fine, he's fine." And I remember there was a big cave on the beach, and
Okay.
we were in the cave, and there was loads of bats in the cave, and I was thinking, "This is crazy." And that was the first time I'd ever tried like coconut water. And I remember like my granddad Lincoln, he was like, "Try the coconut water," and Obviously, I was five, and I tried it, and spat straight back out at him.
Yeah. It's definitely something you had to get accustomed to, right?
Yeah, so I just spat it right out at him, and then like that's actually such a funny memory, to be honest, because he was looking at me like wiping it off his face.
Yeah. Oh, nice, man. So I'm glad that you got to experience. And I mean, at this stage now, you should probably come back and experience it at some point too, because I'm
Yeah, one
sure
hundred
they're
percent.
definitely a different experience. Um, is there anything else that you think you would like to tell a younger player? Again, I know you say that you speak a lot to younger players. So if you have to speak to someone who is in the age group right now of 16 to 18 and now getting into like an under 18 academy, what would you tell that person?
Um, that age in football doesn't matter. Age in football doesn't matter. You shouldn't think, oh, I'm 16. Like I can wait my time. That you don't need to wait your time. You,
Right.
if you're good enough and you show like, if you show you have enough character, you'll play.
Mhm.
And of course, in football, there is politics, of course. But the more you think about that, then you're making excuses already. Try not
Mhm.
to make excuses. Try to do the right things. And if you do that and you're brave, the biggest thing is when you're playing in training, whatever, be brave. As soon as you're brave, players, good, better players will give you the ball more.
Yeah.
And when you get the ball more, the more you have the ball, the more you have a chance to show your true ability.
Right.
There's no point when you're 16 to 18, even at my age 27, to go into a training session and think I'll only touch the ball 2 or 3 times. You're there, you might as well go I'll touch the ball 1,000 times, because even if you touch the ball 1,000 times and you've lost the ball 500 of those times, well, 500 other times you've done something good.
Yeah.
And I would say that's a big thing is if I personally make a mistake in the first 2 minutes of the game, I always think, oh, I'm going to have a great game today,
Hmm.
because I think, oh, percentages wise, I'm a good player. So if I've already made my mistake, I'm not going to make another one. So,
Not true.
so I don't really ever play off mistakes, and I think young players they should almost play. A lot of football now is very restricted, isn't it? Like formation, you have to do this, but just try and be yourself and literally just be brave. Be brave to get the ball, be brave in headers, be brave in any situation, and don't just be another number. Try not to be another number, because so
Yeah.
many players just become another number.
Okay. Well, that's a good point to kind of pass on to younger players. So, and I think there's a good place for us for this first interview. So, Josh, I really thank you for this opportunity, and I know that a lot of people will go and research who you are and see more about you. So I guess you'll get that exposure to Trinidad in that way. And we really hope to see you soon in Trinidad and back on the national team or
Yeah, I hope
making the
so too.
national team. Yeah. Really appreciate it, Josh. Thanks very much.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Marcus. You take it easy.
All right. Have a good one. Yeah. Bye.
Yeah, enjoy your weekend. Bye bye.